What's up, my PT peeps? One Eye Bri back to talk about Rocky. 10 things you might not know about the Rocky movies. This is going to be the first part of all the Rocky movies that we're going to do, but we're going to cover Rocky 1, the original Rocky, 10 things you might not know about Rocky. So, Rocky 1, did you know that Stallone wrote Rocky in 3.5 days? He was an actor for a while and really wasn't getting any great roles or anything there too. So he sat down and is like, you know what, I'm going to write a movie for myself to play the part. He wrote Rocky, about 80 pages in 3.5 days. Now, when you think the Rocky movies, you think Rocky versus Apollo, right? Well, Apollo was played by Carl Weathers, but he was not the first choice. Actually, it was Ken Norton and or Joe Frazier. He got Ken Norton in the ring, and Ken Norton was huge and found out that wasn't going to work. So then he tried Joe Frazier. And after 11 seconds, he had 4 stitches, Stallone did, after Joe Frazier just beat him up pretty good. So he couldn't reuse a real boxer. He went with Carl Weathers, who actually, Carl Weathers insulted Sylvester Stallone by mistake during the casting call by saying, if I was reading with a real actor. Sylvester Stallone got the idea for Rocky somewhat when he saw the fight of Chuck Wepner versus Muhammad Ali. Now, Chuck Wepner is known as the Bayonne Bleeder, and he fought Muhammad Ali, who was the champ, and Sylvester Stallone saw this fight and thought it was a great idea for like a movie kind of rendition of this, because not only did Chuck Wepner go to a decision, but he also knocked the champ down, basically like Apollo and Rocky, so very similar. Rocky was shot in 28 days. United Artists limited to a 30-day shoot to film Rocky, so they had to set up a lot of setups and do a lot of shooting quickly. Sometimes they would do 60 setups in one day, so they had to shoot and jump out and get all this footage, and they'll put it together later, so it was done very quickly. Now, the movie Lords of Flatbush has Sylvester Stallone, Henry Winkler, and Perry King in it. Now, when the United Artists executives got the script by Sylvester Stallone, they looked at Lords of Flatbush to see what Sylvester Stallone was all about and some of his work, not knowing that they thought Sylvester Stallone, who we all know who is now, that was Perry King, the guy on the far right. They were like, oh yeah, he can be in a movie, he can be a leading actor. So they picked up Rocky thinking that Perry King was Sylvester Stallone. Now, Rocky was revolutionary in a lot of different ways, but one was for the camera that they had to make for the film, and it's known as the Steadicam. They use it today, a much smaller version, but they made this camera so the cameraman could move around while Sylvester Stallone was doing his thing, and it was kind of a seamless transition without rails and setups like they would usually have to do before that. So they developed a heavy camera called the Steadicam that can move frequently and gets way better shots. Pretty cool. Now, Rocky is a quintessential do-it-yourself DIY film by Stallone and everyone around there. Rocky was such a low-budgeted film that they had to make ends meet any way they could. Remember the Stallone-Adrian scene in the ice rink? They had to act like it was closed because they couldn't afford any extras. Rocky wore his own clothes. Maybe he told the other actors to wear some of their own clothes, but they couldn't really do anything to make ends meet. They had to get it done on a very low budget. Butkus, the dog. Sylvester Stallone he owned Butkus prior to Rocky. Did you know that he sold Butkus originally and got $50 for him? Then Stallone needed the dog back for the film, had to put the new owner in the movie and pay him $1,500 to get Butkus back. That's a good dog. Now, the budget. Look how low that budget is versus how much it grossed. United Artists gave him less than $1 million. It was $950,000. It made and grossed over $117 million. That is one of the biggest turnarounds I've ever seen and probably will ever happen for sure. Last but not least, Sylvester Stallone turned down $360,000 for the Rocky script. He went to United Artists and to say, I want to make this movie. I'm Rocky. I have to play Rocky. But they were like, nah, man, give us the script. We'll pay you some money. It went up to $360,000, which is incredibly tough not to take when Sylvester Stallone was so poor at the time. But Glad he didn't take that because it changed the way they make movies today, and Sylvester Stallone was pretty awesome. So there you go, guys. Those are our top 10 things for Rocky 1. Stay tuned for the rest of the Rocky saga that we're going to break down and do top things for each Rocky movie. Subscribe today to get those videos. You guys are awesome, and thank you for watching.